Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast quick picks video for UFC 326. The baddest motherfucker is on the line. Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway too. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button as you know what we're about to do. Rapid fire style, full card breakdown with confident level traffic light system at the bottom. And as we start things off in the early prelims, we've got Gaston Bolaños taking on Jung Young Lee. And I'm going to lean to Lee here. Anybody with a pulse and a ground game here can usually beat Gaston Bolaños. You take him down, rinse and repeat, take the back and find the choke. Lee is known as more of a striker, a high pressure striker, but I do think here with a slight ground game, he should have the advantage, even though he is taking this fight on short notice. Not super confident as he is not on a full camp, but I'm going to take Lee here to get this one done with the ground game. And next up, we've got Dante Johnson taking on Cody Brundage. And anybody with a pulse usually beats Cody Brundage at this point. I don't think that he's UFC level. He does have a little bit of wrestling, but Dante Johnson's a much better athlete, a powerhouse here at middleweight, even at 5'8". He has a lot of power to back up his opponent. He can rely on the better wrestling here in this matchup. Very confident in him to get it done here on the short notice step up for Cody Brundage. And next up, we've got Alberto Montez taking on Ricky Turcios, and Ricky Turcios is more of a volume guy, more of a scrambler, doesn't have the wrestling to get fights to the ground and ultimately relies on his volume and lack of power. But I think Alberto Montez here should have the front chokes to keep the wrestling at bay here of Turcios, along with the better kickboxing. So give me Montez here to get this one done. I'm going to say that he finds some sort of submission from a lazy takedown here from Turcios, but I feel good about him getting it done either way, whether it be by decision or by stoppage. And next up, we've got Luke Fernandez taking on Rodolfo Belardo. And Belardo is a Terminator. He walks you down. He leaves himself very exposed, however. And I think that Fernandez has the striking, the fundamental striking, a nice 1-2 down the pipe, power in his hands, and also think that Belardo's going to look to get this fight to the ground. But I think Fernandez is going to look to keep this one standing. I think he defends the takedowns and ultimately finds the knockout blow on a very hittable Belardo here. Give me Luke Fernandez here in a confident pick. And next up, we've got Sumadarji taking on Jesus Aguilar. And I'm going to lean to Sumadarji here. I think that the kickboxing here, he should have the advantage on the feet. The height and the reach is something that I just can't ignore. Jesus Aguilar, however, does have a nasty guillotine. We know that from previous fights. If he does get into scrambles or is able to get this fight to the ground, then I do think he could pull off the upset. But I'm going to rely on Sumadarji, his height and reach, to be able to get this one done. He's worked on his grappling. Let's hope it pays off for him here. And next up, we've got Ngozi taking on Rafael Tobias. I'm going to go with Tobias here to get this one done. Making his UFC debut, he is a bit of a wild man, shooter box fighter, has nice power in the hand, still very young, good physical athlete. But I do think here Ngozi is a guy that struggles with the ground game. We've seen him get submitted in back-to-back fights in the UFC. I think that Tobias here can mix in the wrestling, get this fight to the ground, take the back, and ultimately find the choke. So give me Rafael Tobias here in a confident pick. And next up, we've got Cody Garbrandt here taking on Long Zhao, and I'm going to go with Garbrandt here, dog of the week. I think it's crazy he's the underdog. He should be the faster fighter here in terms of the boxing and the striking. I think his footwork's going to be key in this matchup as Long Zhao decides to plant his feet and load up on shots. I think Garbrandt here can mix in, pretty much mixing in the boxing and the low calf kick here to either win a decision where he darts in and out at range, or he's able to land in combination and ultimately land with that third or fourth punch, getting the knockout. So give me Cody Garbrandt here in the upset as the underdog. And next up, we've got Cody Durden taking on Namjagar Tumendembarel. And I like Cody Durden here to get this one done in a slight lean. I think that Cody Durden needs this one in a bad way. He is the better wrestler. Namjagar Tumendembarel is a guy that has good sambo and good judo. But I think here, realistically, that Tumendembarel is more of a finisher in terms of the front chokes and also in terms of just kind of pressuring you and ultimately swarming you. I think that Durden can mix in the grappling, slow this one down, and ultimately be the more technical boxer with that nice overhand. I think that he can pull off the upset here as a slight underdog. Not super confident in how I do question his durability at this point, but slight lean to Cody Durden here. And next up, we've got Drew Dober taking on Michael Johnson. And I think here, realistically, Drew Dober doesn't cut off the cage very well. Michael Johnson's the faster, more, physical in terms of the clinch as well. I think if this fight hits the mat, which I highly doubt, I think it's going to be a back-and-forth striking affair. I give Johnson the edge in the grappling, along with the fact that I think the straight shots of Johnson here, in terms of the speed and the boxing, should be on the side of Johnson. And Drew Dober is very, very hittable. He walks you down. He wants to throw wild looping hooks. And I think Johnson's straight punches here should find the mark and maybe even find the knockout here on Drew Dober. And next up, we've got Bruno Ferreira taking on Gregory Rodriguez. And I think, obviously, this fight being a rematch, I think Gregory Rodriguez gets the victory here, gets back in the win column here and gets his revenge against Ferreira. I think Rodriguez is going to be too big. He's going to walk Ferreira down with disdain. And I think that size of Gregory Rodriguez is going to be too much here for Ferreira. I think if it hits the mat, I think that both guys are very good on the ground, but I give the slight edge to Rodriguez. And I also think here, realistically, if this fight does stay on the feet, that Rodriguez has shown that he can pace himself, he can rely a little bit more on his cardio and not have to get the knockout early, and he can, kind of fight 3 rounds here. And I think I've seen improvements enough to take him in this matchup in a medium level confidence pick. And next up, we've got Rob Font taking on Raul Rojas Jr. And I think Rob Font's going to get this one done here. He's the better striker, the better boxer, good forward pressure, which is going to make it hard for Rojas to get the takedowns. And I don't see Raul Rojas Jr. being able to control Rob Font and backpack him for 3 rounds, or at least 2, enough to win a decision here. So give me Rob Font in the striking. I think he should have all the success he needs. And that brings us to the co-main event. Give me Caio Borralho here against Reinier de Ridder. I didn't like what I saw out of Reinier de Ridder in his last fight. He quit on the stool. Borralho is a guy that I think, realistically, him fighting against Imavov, he, in that matchup, wasn't the better striker. And I think here he's going to be the better striker. I think de Ridder crashes into the pocket and Borralho can capitalize on countering here. I think he's the better fast twitch athlete. And I think if the fight hits the mat, Borralho is going to be more than credentialed in the grappling to be able to stay safe. So give me Caio Borralho here to get this one done. And that brings us to the main event here. And unfortunately, my heart says Charles, my head says Max Holloway here. I think Charles Oliveira is a great fighter, obviously great shooter box fighter. And I think that he can mix it up on the feet. Obviously does a good job of mixing in the takedowns and the grappling. But I think when it comes to Max Holloway, he has all the skills here to be able to get this one done. And still for the BMF title, he's the better boxer. And I think his takedown defense holds up. And if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.